Welcome, everyone, to Meditation Mount. We're gathered from different parts of the world, and so let's begin by taking time just to connect. And we can do that by focusing our attention inwardly to that still place inside the heart. And then visualize all of us gathered together in virtual space in different parts of the world, connected heart to heart by lines of lighted love. And see this great network of lighted hearts. This is our matrix of love in which we stand together. And in which we participate in this meditation. Thank you. So we are in the sun sign of Scorpio, and the moon is in Taurus. And Scorpio is associated with the element of water. The purificatory waters of testing and trial. That's how it's named in Scorpio. And this particular sign is ruled by Mars, which provides the fighting spirit by which the trials of Scorpio are faced. And Scorpio is that great constellation which influences the turning point, both in the life of humanity as a whole and each one of us as an individual. And the function of Scorpio at this time in our collective evolutionary development is to provide those points of crisis and those moments of reorientation that lead us ever closer to the vision of spiritual liberation. Now, Scorpio is quite a deep sign. It has a dark side, it has a light side, like most things. The lower nature of Scorpio, it's sometimes called the agent of deception. And this is reflected in its personality affirmation, which says, let Maya flourish and let deception rule. So you can imagine what happens when that's let loose. While in its higher aspect, Scorpio is known as the light of liberation. And this is reflected in the soul motto, warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. So Scorpio provides a time of struggle. And this struggle helps us to realize and then to eventually overcome the inherent and inherited limitations in which we've been living. And then hopefully this leads to the establishing of right relations with the indwelling spiritual life, our own soul, and with our environment, the sacred ecosystem of Gaia. As we know, the soul has to face a particular test in each sign of the zodiac as part of its schooling. And these particular lessons are reflected in the 12 labors of Hercules. And in this story, Hercules represents the soul. And the trial and challenge facing him in Scorpio illustrates the great test that we as a human family are facing right now. Because in Scorpio, Hercules has to defeat the 9-headed Hydra. And here it is, all 9 heads. It's also known as the Serpent of Desire. But before we explore how Hercules sets about the task of overcoming the Hydra, let's just understand what each of these heads represent. And we're told that 3 heads represent the tests and trials of the physical plane. 3 heads represent those in the astral plane, and 3 heads represent those in the mental. So let's name them. What we have to overcome on the physical plane is sex, physical comfort, and money. And the trials and the things to be overcome on the astral plane are fear, hate, and ambition. And then the three heads represent the tests of the mental plane, and the faces of these heads represent pride, separativeness, and cruelty. So that's quite a collection of 9 aspects that have to be overcome. And I would say, if we would look around in the world at the moment, we could probably say these are the tests that are facing us right now. And Hercules represents us as the soul of humanity, and we have to overcome and we have to triumph. So Hercules actually can't mud wrestle the Hydra. If he did that using his physical strength to grab the Hydra and go down in the mud, he'd probably get drowned and pulled under, sucked under. And he can't really use the sword to cut off the Hydra's head, because every time you cut off the head of the Hydra, it sprouts 2 more. So how do you overcome the Hydra? Well, you have to do it through a spiritual approach. And what Hercules realizes in the end, that he has to kneel in front of the Hydra. And the act of kneeling is an act of humility. And we've mentioned this before, that when we use the word humility, it means an adjusted sense of right proportion, that we don't overinflate ourselves as an ego, and we don't underinflate or deflate ourselves. We simply show up authentically as who we are. So when Hercules shows up authentically, he kneels in humility, and then he reaches down and he grasps the Hydra and then raises it up high, high into the light of day. And when the Hydra leaves its watery, muddy domain and enters the plane of Buddhi, the air, it loses its power. So the Serpent of Desire cannot exist in the rarefied air of the Buddhic plane, because there, the lower desires no longer hold sway. So I want to emphasize this particular test in Scorpio, because it is the one that we're facing collectively now. And yet there is a higher aspect, not only to Scorpio, but to us as the soul of humanity. We're going to be calling on our better angels to overcome the gravitational pull of desire that is keeping us imprisoned in matter. So what Hercules discovered, the secret of overcoming the Hydra, is hidden in these 3 lines. We rise by kneeling, we conquer by surrendering, and we gain by giving up. It sort of sounds a little counterintuitive, but let's just unpack that. We rise by kneeling. That means when we, in all humility, offer ourselves to life, then we're elevated. And we conquer by surrendering. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up and being defeated. Surrendering means giving up our personal will to a greater will. And it is that greater will and the presence of the soul that can conquer all. And then the 3rd line, we gain by giving up. And once again, when we give up something, we offer it up as a contribution. Whatever we give, we receive in return. So if we're holding on to something with clenched fists, as many of us do when we're a little afraid of letting go and we feel insecure, but the act of holding on like this means that we can neither receive or give. So the hands need to be open to receive and to give in blessing. So this is how Hercules went about overcoming the Hydra. And the test, as we've seen in Scorpio, is to release the light of liberation. So looking around the world at the moment, we can be full of despair because everything seems to be going, as they say, to hell in a handbasket. And yet, Hercules is on the scene in the form of our soul, both our individual soul, our collective soul, as the one soul of humanity. And what I believe is happening at the moment on the planet is that we're being called to stand as the soul and face the serpent of desire and face all those elements that would hold us back from the natural evolution of the truth of who we are. So as we're wrestling with and seeking to overcome the serpent of desire, we can use the focused energies of Scorpio. And that's what we'll be doing now in our meditation. We'll be entering a field, releasing the light of liberation. So if we could just sort of take that in and understand this is our focus, we might as well utilize the energies that are there, not run and hide from them. And when we are asked to be warriors, this isn't some sort of masculine, macho stance that goes around killing everything in sight. It means the warrior, the fierce, compassionate warrior of love that is the soul, that will respond when cruelty happens, that will show up when truth needs to be revealed. So the warrior is more the fiery soul taking control of its life. And it's as though the soul of humanity has to take control of its personality, because at the moment, looking around the world, our collective personality is running amok. So, holding all of that as our context, and also standing as the soul, as Hercules, in that still center, Diana will now lead us in our meditation.
I just want to say a few words. Thank you, Michael. Wow. Really beautifully said. I loved the standing as the soul. And in order to rise, we kneel, right? So beautiful. And it really goes with this time so well. We can feel these energies becoming more and more intense with every breath that passes. There's an intensification as we're going through the narrows at this time, at this juncture. But like we say, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that are the midwives of this passage. And so we get to, it is a privilege to be here during this time and bring our collective light together for the highest good, for our world and for humanity and for the soul of our earth. And so here we gather. And I was, just before we began, I was on Instagram watching the Meditation Mount ceremony that was happening on the grounds there. That Meditation Mount has just opened again. And it's just so beautiful watching the sun coming down, and there was beautiful music and bowls and singing as people meditated out on the grasses. So bring that into this too, the clear field of Meditation Mount, which is high up, like literally high. There's something in that, right? Energetically, we raise up, we give up. And when we say the phrase, I give up, we often are thinking of, I surrender, I don't want to do this anymore, in sort of the context of getting away from something. But the spiritual warrior stands in too, right? And it lifts it up, it gives it up, and it lets it transmute the energies that we are grappling down here with, down on the horizontal plane of our apparent existence down here, as we kind of duking it out. And we begin to raise the vibration, like literally raise the vibration. And so we are the ones to do that. And there's many millions that are doing this too, on this big full moon that is exact in the morning tomorrow of Halloween. which is that interesting timing of everything right now in Scorpio, Taurus full moon, solar Scorpio moon. So it's really good to remember that there's purpose in all this. It's not just random, and there's so much that we can do. And it, even if you think about it, takes this tension in order, right, to push off that wave, in order for change to occur. There needs to be the tension that allows the contractions, right, of the birthing. And so that's where we are right now, as we're helping that happen by our steady, constant pulse of light and love and power. And we just keep offering it and offering it. And that idea of the light of liberation, Scorpio's realization, right? Because we must go through the trials of Scorpio. It is always part of the test of the soul to come to the liberation that comes from that, and facing those demons and facing our darkness and facing our shadows is part of the work of this experience on Earth. And so we have the honor, the privilege to do this. So it's unavoidable, is what I wanted to say. And it is on purpose. And we in our unification of light, as we harmonize our light together, which we will do in our meditation, we actually create a collective light that's bigger than our single light. And so many candles, right? Many lights make a big, great light. And it is a single candle in the darkness is all you need, right? And the more dark it is, the more that single light even matters. And if we have many lights, which we do, you know, we can really illuminate this energy that's happening and allow what is trying to occur for the highest good for all. So on that note, let's begin our meditation. So get it comfortable where you are and just find your center as you bring yourself in and start to quiet the energies that are within us and without us. And so from wherever you are, right, wherever you are in the world, you know, there's people here from England and Australia and all across America and all other places, Italy. And we're all coming together from different points across the globe. And we're connecting light to light to light to light to light to light. And you can sense all the beings, all the ones of us, these single candles, joining our light together to create this light of liberation. And so as you enter the space of that inner silence, you feel yourself begin to become still. And you begin to quietly, consciously calm the physical field of yourself, your physical body, by a breath, by an exhalation, physical balancing. And then another breath to emotionally calm and harmonize. On the exhalation, you feel the emotional body come into that calm, Om. And then the mental body. You take a breath, and all those thoughts, and all this thinking. Exhale, and feel the harmonization of the bodies of the self as you step even deeper within, into that deep, constant awareness where the soul and the self become one. And you feel that link up from the center of the heart to the center of the earth, from the center of the heart to the cave center. And take your seat here. Like you're in the cockpit of consciousness in the cave. And from this place, send a line of light to the soul. And feel your connection, your relationship, your infinite connection with that infinite part of you. That acts like a satellite dish, like a translating device from those higher energies to come down into this physical experience. For all the masters and teachers, through the heart of the sun, Shambhala, the masters and teachers, all the way to Sirius. You feel your alignment now, feeling linked up, synced up with pure light, pure awareness, divine intelligence. With no interference, mind, fears, doubts, but just synced up, pure, light to light. And as we go into the silence in a moment, I'll offer a seed thought to work with in there. And we'll have silence for about 10 minutes so that you can really receive, to stand receptive, to kneel, to offer it up, this condition that we are in, to raise the vibration. So from that place, heart open, connected to all that is, taking your seat in the cave center, linked up to the soul. The seed thought is today, aligned with light, we remember we are free. Aligned with light, the light of liberation. We remember we are free. aligned with light, aligned with light. We harmonize our light with this divine light, becoming one with it, becoming one with it, light to light. And let it crack and break through and transmute and transform any lingering darkness. Let it crack the seal and heal the world. Letting our own doubts fall away so that we are pure transmitters. Of this divine light. Let every single atom of you be infused with this light now. One and the same. Light to light. In harmony with it. And in harmony with each other. And then from the cave center, visualizing the Ajna center, as you send this energy, this light, this cleansed, purified light out into our world, to every country, to every being. Visualizing a healing world, a healed world. And those places that you know of, and those ones that you know of, and those places and people that you're aware of, hold them, hold it all, hold this whole earth and every being on it in this light. Know the well-being of this planet. And the growing pains of humanity. As we heal, as we learn. We're going to use the great invocation to close this meditation. And I'm using the Lucis Trust adapted version. So if you know it, you can say it with me, or you can just hear it as I offer this formula. From the point of light, within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love, within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.
Thank you, Diana. So what we receive, we give. And we gave of our healing, the healing light of our souls out into the world. And there are two phases to the blessing we're doing today, because our task is twofold. One is to send out compassion and love and healing to relieve the suffering that is being caused by this time of upheaval. And the other part of our blessing is to send out seeds of light that are the promise of the new. So the healing prepares the soil, and the seeds from the future we bring and plant in this present time. So we've gathered this light in our chalice, and the light of liberation, which is the pure radiance of the soul. And the light of liberation dispels the clouds of glamour so that we can see more clearly what the future holds. And so what we will be focusing on in this second wave of blessing are the three principles that we at Meditation.min work on as the foundations of a new society, of a new civilization. So before we actually do the blessing, let me name them. There's the principle of essential divinity, affirming that all life is sacred and that a spark of the eternal flame lives inside each human heart. There's the principle of goodwill, affirming that love is the lifeblood and currency of human relationship. And thirdly, the principle of unanimity, announcing that interdependence and inseparability are intrinsic qualities of the one life. So we'll be sending these seeds, which will grow and flower to become the future as we pass through the present time of plowing the old forms and composting them. So let us stand again as one group heart. And the light of liberation that we have received in our group chalice, let us raise that chalice into the air and let us pour it forth as a blessing to the world. And let us do this utilizing 3 collective breaths. So standing together as the soul, let us breathe out the first wave of the blessing of liberating light, infusing and enfolding our world. And we breathe out a second wave of blessing to touch all lives and awaken them to the fact of their essential divinity. And we complete our work with the third breath, carrying the promise of liberation into the world, freeing the human psyche from imprisonment so that the seeds of the future can grow in the rich soil of the present. And may we carry this light of liberation in our hearts and in our minds with us. And may it be a guiding light to all around us. So let us complete our time together with a few announcements, because these announcements tell us about the rhythm that we're establishing and what we're doing next to work together to relieve the suffering and to plant the seeds of a brighter future. In 2 days' time, on Sunday, November the 1st, at 1:30 Pacific Standard Time, because we will have changed the clocks the night before, we're having a meditation on the soul of America. And the purpose is to create a positive spiritual field to support the upcoming election in the USA. And then on Sunday, November the 15th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, our monthly global gathering, View from the Mount, and we'll be exploring in more depth the tests of Scorpio, what it means to face the collective shadow, and the task of liberating the human spirit from its captivation inside of matter. Then on Sunday, November the 29th at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have the next full moon meditation in the sun sign of Sagittarius, where the moon is in Gemini. And just one final announcement. For those of you who live nearby, as was mentioned earlier by Diana, we were given the green light by the Ventura County Health Department 2 weeks ago to welcome people back again within COVID-19 protocols. So if you want to visit Meditation Mount, please go to meditation.min.org, go to the scheduling page, and you can pre-register because we're allowing small groups in at certain times. So let's just return back again and regroup and just be grateful for this opportunity to be of service together. May we carry the light of liberation with us. Thank you, everyone, for your presence and participation today. Blessings from Meditation Mount. We look forward to seeing you next time. Please, may all of us stay safe, stay centered, and stay strong. Namaste.